Funding for the 2022 World Food Prize Laureate Award Ceremony has been provided by Friends, the Iowa PBS Foundation, and a grant from the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust. It's fall in America's heartland as leaders from across the country and around the world gather in Iowa's capital city for the presentation of the annual World Food Prize. The prestigious international award recognizes those who have impacted human lives through food. Tonight, under the Golden Dome of the state capitol, guests celebrate and honor some of the achievements and the ongoing global work of hunger fighters at the 2022 World Food Prize Laureate Award Ceremony.
Welcoming past World Food Prize laureates. From India, the 1996 laureate, Dr. Gurdev Kush, and the 2001 laureate, Dr. Per Pinstrup Andersen from Denmark. From the United Nations, the 2003 laureate, Catherine Bettini, and the 2010 laureate, Reverend David Beckman, from the United States. From Cape Verde, a 2016 laureate, Dr. Maria Andrade. And from the United States, another 2016 laureate, Dr. Jan Lowe. From the United States, a 2016 laureate, Dr. Howard Buis. And the 2018 laureate, Dr. Lawrence Haddad, from the United Kingdom. A native of India, the 2020 laureate, Rathan Lau, and the 2021 laureate from Trinidad and Tobago and Denmark, Dr. Shakuntala Haraksingh Tilsted. Please welcome from the state of Iowa, from the Iowa Senate, Senator William Dotzler. Lieutenant Governor of the state of Iowa, Adam Gregg. Please welcome the President Emeritus of the World Food Prize Foundation, Ambassador Kenneth M. Quinn. Seated in the chamber are the esteemed members of the World Food Prize Council of Advisors. Please stand to be recognized. Please welcome the World Food Prize Foundation Party, the chair of the World Food Prize Selection Committee, and the 2009 World Food Prize laureate, Dr. Gabiza Ijeta. The chairman of the World Food Prize Board of Directors and the Council of Advisors, Mr. Paul Schickler, and President of the World Food Prize Foundation, Ms. Barbara Stinson. Please join us in welcoming our distinguished national and international guests. From Liberia, the Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Janine Cooper. And from the Republic of Panama, the Minister Counselor for Agricultural Affairs, Carlos Augusto Salcedo Saldivar. From Pakistan, the Minister of State in the federal government, Sheikh Fayaz Uddin, and the Minister of State, Shahryar Ali Khan. From Guyana, the Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa. And from Sri Lanka, the Minister in Agriculture, Wildlife, and Forest Resource Conservation, Mahinda Amaravira. Please welcome the 2022 World Food Prize laureate from the United States, Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig. Presiding at tonight's ceremony, please welcome the Governor of the State of Iowa, the Honorable Kim Reynolds.
There was no prize available in the Nobel Foundation for food or agriculture. And so they put me through the window for peace, the only window through which I could pass. And now we have such a prize, so that on its own merit, food across all of the links in the chain can be recognized.
President of the World Food Prize Foundation, Barbara Stinson.
To everyone here this evening, and to those thousands that we know are joining us online, webcast around the world, welcome to the 2022 World Food Prize Laureate Award Ceremony. In particular, thank you to our many senior government officials. We appreciate your presence, our business and organizational leadership, researchers, farmers from all over. Ladies and gentlemen, you are most welcome to Iowa. Governor Reynolds, on behalf of our board chair, Paul Schickler, my husband, Don, the entire Ruan family, and all of us at the World Food Prize family, I want to say how very grateful we are to you and the First Gentleman, Kevin, for presiding over tonight's ceremony. I also want to acknowledge Senator William Dotzler and Adam Gregg, the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Iowa. We appreciate your attendance tonight and the continuous support that you provide the World Food Prize Foundation throughout the year. Tonight, we honor the 2022 World Food Prize laureate, Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig. Dr. Rosenzweig has truly shaped our understanding of the relationship between climate and food systems and the effects that these have on each other. Before we proceed, though, I want to acknowledge and reflect on two important humanitarians who are an ongoing inspiration to all of us. 14 years ago, the World Food Prize founder, Norman Borlaug, left us. Beginning in that year, with the 2009 ceremony, my predecessor, Ambassador Kenneth Quinn, left open a chair for Norm. It had always been occupied since then to commemorate his achievements and inspiration. Last year, we expanded this tradition to include an empty chair for John Ruan III. He was chair of the board of directors of the World Food Prize Foundation for over 20 years and built this organization to be, and the prize to be, what it is today. While Norman Borlaug and John Ruan III are no longer with us, we will always remember their vision, their passion for the World Food Prize. Tonight, we are fortunate to have their families with us. And in the audience, we have Jeannie Lobby Borlaug. We have his daughter. We have Julie Borlaug, his granddaughter. Thank you so much for your devotion to your father and grandfather's tremendous commitment, his legacy for eliminating hunger. And to the Ruan family, Janice, Rachel, Ben McLean is also here. Thank you for all you have done over 30 years. Supporting the World Food Prize Foundation in the tremendous way in this community has been foundational. With your family's guidance and generosity, the foundation has flourished. We have become the prestigious organization that you experience today. As we remember Norman Borlaug and John Ruan III tonight, it's important to acknowledge their shared passion for inspiring the next generation of hunger fighters. In 1994, together they established the first Global Youth Institute, and it only had 14 Iowa high school students in attendance. Now, with the multitude of World Food Prize Foundation programs that we have, thousands of students are touched and empowered by our youth programs every single year. This week, we had over 270 students from 19 countries join us in the Global Youth Institute, the same that was created by John and Norm 28 years ago. Our students' ideas were on display at the Borlaug Dialogue all week. I hope you saw their creative, inventive, innovative passion expressed in these powerful presentations. Their perspectives and priorities are crucial. Elevating the next generation of young leaders is critical if we're going to achieve our goals of eliminating hunger and advancing healthy, sustainable food systems, and especially to combat and be resilient to climate change. To the Global Youth Institute students watching at home tonight, together we can and we will achieve these goals. Now, Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig understands all of this as well as anyone. And in fact, she's vice chair of the Climate Museum Board of Trustees. And she has played an integral role in creating a program called Climate Speaks, where New York City youth write and perform the spoken word poetry documenting the effects of climate change. Tonight, as a special surprise for our laureate, we have partnered with a local youth group, the Oak Ridge neighborhood. They have written and will perform their own poetry. Oak Ridge Neighborhood is a nonprofit housing and urban development or urban organization providing human services. Better start over there. Oak Ridge is a nonprofit housing and urban services organization located in the heart of Des Moines. They provide safe, affordable housing coupled with wraparound services to create opportunities for individual and family success. Tonight, Oak Ridge Neighborhood performs for us, and we have Emmett Phillips, who works with an organization as the Young Navigator, the Youth Navigator, with 3 other students, John Oliver Williams, Zamaratu Danke, and Ashed Bokra. Please join me in welcoming Emmett to perform his own poetry.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. But let's get on with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the esteemed honor of introducing to our talk show tonight the one and only Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig. Oh, you look fabulous, doctor. So, doctor, let's get right into it, Dr. Rosenzweig. Is this climate change thing really as big of a problem as people say it is?
I'm not a pessimistic person. This is how I look at it. Global climate change is the most important challenge that we face as a human race. But it is becoming a major impetus to move the planet towards sustainability.
Wow, outstanding, doctor. Brilliant answer. Fantastic. Dr. Rosenzweig, okay. So we know you do fantastic work with sustainability and climate change, but what exactly are we doing to make sure this data is more accurate?
Previously, scientists would produce a result, and then they would pass it off to society. Such silos do not work for finding solutions to climate change. What we've learned is that there needs to be far more interaction and integration among different groups of society as we confront the climate change challenge.
Brilliant, doctor. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Gosh. It's just stunning, phenomenal, doctor. It's brilliant. All right, very, very great. But lastly, doctor, some people feel that this climate change stuff is something we don't have to worry about until the future, right? What would you say when it comes to that?
Climate change research isn't just for the future. It's affecting agriculture and food already and needs to be taken into account in policy decisions now.
Right now, wow. Well said, and I do agree. Well, very powerful words, Dr. Rosenzweig. Any last words?
The proof is evident.
The scientists have weighed in.
The people have spoken.
We are all starving for change. Oh yes, and we just getting started. That's the warm-up, y'all. All right, so for those of you all that are new to spoken word culture, I need everyone to get their snapping fingers ready, all right? It's welcome to snap when you hear lines you love throughout this poem, okay? Okay, so this is Starving for Change in honor of Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig. Hats off to Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig. Her data, research, and passion has opened hearts and eyes. As a poet and storyteller of several years, I aim to amplify your message so it's loud and clear. I'm an artist and educator. I'm no scholar of agronomy. I make contributions to the creative economy with one intention: catalyze critical thinking. Casting lifelines, society seems to be sinking. Stomachs aching, starving for change, waiting. Faith waning in the power of policy making. I find it heartbreaking, but also thought-provoking. What can be done to deter us from this downward sloping? I wonder. After all the data collected and the efforts and funds, when it comes to food security, the work's only begun. We celebrate the World Food Prize, but what have we won if we fail to feed every child under the sun? Oh, there's more, baby. Families struggle with money, children go to sleep hungry. Is there any hope for this country? Crop fields are going bare, pollution in land and air. What will it take for us to care? What feeds us when normal food won't suffice? What non-physical nourishment truly sustains life? I say, feed us.
Feed us.
Feed us.
Feed us.
Feed us philosophy, so words of wisdom won't wither away like fields of wheat near wintertime. Feed us love by the loaf, so we may taste the care in every carb. Love is our daily bread. May we spread it by the slice to the world at large. Feed us truth, serve it on a silver platter. Feed us justice and acknowledge that our lives matter. Our lives matter. Our lives matter. Our perspectives will not be plucked from the tree of knowledge to be consumed as clickbait, bearing the fruit of convenient content. Our hopes will not be harvested like honey for the hive mind to feed on for a quick buzz. The essence of our struggles will not be digested as entertainment for a disassociated audience that cannot stomach our stories. For every branch on the family tree of humanity broken before reaching maturity, we shall plant a seed until growth is all we see. Our very points of view will be the pollen transmitted from one flowering mind to the next, bolstering the blossoming of beauty and brilliance for all human beings for generations to come. Our appetite for an end to apathy will not be satisfied haphazardly. Our stomachs have been aching for ages. We are still starving for change. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rosenzweig.
Thank you.
My goodness, Emmett, Jordan, Zamaratu, Ashed, thank you so much. What a powerful message you've delivered to us. We appreciate your creative talents, your imagination, your vision, your passion, and your charge to us. Let's give them another round of applause. And now we officially turn to our guest of honor, Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig. Congratulations and welcome back to Iowa. Like Dr. Borlaug, Cynthia's commitment to justice is at the heart of her work. As her work towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions throughout our food systems continues, creating resilient food production that can stand extreme events is at the heart of the work. We must also consider the lives and livelihoods of the 1 billion farmers who work in farming today. Tonight, Cynthia is recognized for her seminal contributions to understanding and predicting the impacts of the interaction between climate and food systems. Through designing and leading rigorous, collaborative, observational, and modeling research, she has provided the evidence we need, used by thousands of decision makers in more than 90 countries, to both mitigate and adapt to climate change in local, national, and global food systems. To launch the award presentation tonight, we turn now to the Laureate proclamation. We have the honor of not only being in the grand Capitol building of the state of Iowa, we also have the honor of the governor of the state of Iowa offering the 2022 Laureate's proclamation. Kim Reynolds, Iowa's first female governor, has been a wonderful friend to the World Food Prize, as governor and lieutenant governor before that. She has been a true support during my entire tenure. She officiates the Iowa Youth Institute, the Iowa Hunger Summit, and our Laureate Awards ceremony every year. Governor Reynolds, I thank you. To issue the official Laureate proclamation, it is my great personal privilege to introduce the 43rd Governor of Iowa, the Honorable Kim Reynolds.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Barbara, for that very kind introduction and for the honorable work that you do as president of the World Food Prize Foundation. On behalf of the people of Iowa, it's my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to each of you as we once again bring the world to Iowa for the presentation of the prestigious World Food Prize. It's an honor to share this historic chamber with you, the men and women whose scientific discoveries have lifted millions out of hunger, poverty, and malnutrition. With distinguished international officials, government ministers, NGO directors, agribusiness executives, farmers, researchers, scientists, teachers, and students. This is truly an exceptional gathering of global talent and leadership. While each of you play a critical and unique role in our food system, everyone in this room is united by a shared commitment to the vision of the great Norman Borlaug, to alleviate global hunger through education, innovation, and empowerment. That's the foundation of this prestigious award, and it was built by a uniquely creative scientist and teacher who worked side by side with those he taught. In 1990, Dr. Borlaug and John Ruan Sr. moved the World Food Prize to Iowa because they knew that it would flourish here in the breadbasket of the world. And more than 3 decades later, our public-private partnership is more vibrant than ever. I'd like to express my appreciation for the Ruan family and their incredible support of the World Food Prize. We will always remember the late John Ruan III for his vision and leadership, under which the World Food Prize grew from a small, one-day local gathering into a week-long series of noteworthy ceremonies and deliberations on global food security that draws over 1,500 participants from more than 65 countries every year. Thanks to John's generosity, the annual $250,000 award for fighting hunger in the world has come to be known internationally as the Nobel Prize for Food and Agriculture. Iowa is fortunate to be home of the World Food Prize, the beautiful Hall of Laureates, and the Foundation's excellent programs for young people. I am especially impressed by the nearly 300 students from 19 countries who participated virtually this year in the Global Youth Institute, where the intellectual seeds are planted for tomorrow's hunger heroes. It educates students on global food security, and it inspires them to pursue careers in ag science and technology. This tradition of youth education and empowerment is deeply rooted in Iowa, so it's always a pleasure to acknowledge these impressive students who are participating remotely tonight. And perhaps someday one of them will be honored in this chamber as a laureate. World Food Prize laureates consistently rank among the world's best and brightest scientific minds, not only in ag, but across all disciplines. Their exceptional talents are devoted to the worthiest of causes, addressing food insecurity and feeding a growing world. The World Food Prize ensures that their achievements receive the recognition that they deserve. This year's winner, Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig of the United States, is no exception. Her landmark research into the links between climate and food systems will affect the lives of countless people around the world for the better. To our newest laureate, congratulations on your selection to receive the most significant recognition in global food security. With that, I now proclaim Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig as the 2022 World Food Prize laureate. Congratulations. Congratulations.
In 1988, NASA scientist and Iowan James Hansen stood before the United States Congress and made a statement that would change the fundamental understanding of our planet. The climate was changing much more than could be ascribed to natural variability. In short, the age of climate change was upon us. This pivotal testimony ignited national public and policy attention on climate change. But Hansen was not done asking questions or seeking out answers. Then director of NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies, Hansen turned to the only agronomist working for him at the time.
This question from Jim came filtering down. He's on the top floor. I'm like, like on the air shaft. The question that filtered down was, what will happen to food with these projections of the climate change?
With her expertise and experience as both a farmer and a scientist, Cynthia Rosenzweig dove into one of humanity's most complex challenges: understanding the nexus of climate change and agriculture. From early childhood growing up in New York, Cynthia found a passion for math and nature. She was encouraged by her father, a math educator, and aunt, a renowned landscape architect. Her fifth-grade teacher also influenced Cynthia's fascination with math and the natural world, with daily math puzzles and regular nature walks that taught students about plants and birds. Cynthia met her husband Arthur in the 1960s at Stanford University. In 1969, the couple moved to Tuscany, Italy, where they started a farm, an experience that would prove formative to Cynthia's farmer-focused career.
So we moved to Italy. The first morning, a neighbor came with a spade, a special hoe, to teach us how to make our garden. That was the moment I fell in love with agriculture.
In 1972, Cynthia returned to the United States and settled in upstate New York, excited to continue a career in agriculture. Cynthia attended Farmingdale State College on Long Island, gaining technical agricultural experience. She later enrolled at Rutgers University and obtained a Bachelor's of Science in Agricultural Sciences in 1980 and a Master's of Science in Soils and Crops in 1983. Cynthia began working at NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies as a graduate student while at Rutgers, and continued on with the institute after her graduation. Her first peer-reviewed journal article analyzed the effects of climate change on wheat-growing crop zones.
My first peer-reviewed journal article was in 1985 in the journal Climatic Change, and it took the projections coming from the GISS climate model, and it was an expert system. It was a different kind of model. The model that we used, that I developed there, was an expert system to give the rules for where different kinds of wheat can grow.
By the mid-1990s, Cynthia had made a name for herself, publishing dozens of articles and receiving her doctorate in plant, soil, and environmental sciences from the University of Massachusetts. During that time, she led the agriculture sector's contributions to the EPA's first assessment of the potential effects of climate change. It was one of the earliest such projections on the United States agricultural regions. Cynthia has been the lead author or coordinating lead for 3 climate change assessments for the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This work helped provide a basis for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which contributed significantly to the 2015 Paris Agreement. In addition, her research directly supported the creation of agriculture adaptation plans for more than 20 countries. Cynthia made a breakthrough in 2008 when she created the new standard of climate and agricultural modeling, AgMIP, the Agricultural Model Intercomparison and Improvement Project, an organization of experts working together to improve the predictions and performance of world food systems in the face of an ever-growing climate crisis. AgMIP's detailed models and data guide policymakers and stakeholders to implement farmer-focused policies that improve global food systems amid the impacts of climate change.
Now we're all working together so that we can nail uncertainties, we can understand the processes, we can improve the models, and thus improve the projections, so we can develop adaptation strategies for all the different regions of the world.
Her work with AgMIP is applied at local, national, and global scales, covering topics from crops and soil to economics and policy. AgMIP programs are carried out in over 20 low and middle-income countries, involving over 200 policymakers and practitioners. AgMIP is producing measurable change in many countries and unique contexts. For example, research by Cynthia's team encouraged the government of Pakistan to update land use planning tools and crop cultivation information for local farmers. With AgMIP, Cynthia led teams in sub-Saharan Africa to develop an innovative regional integrated assessment methodology for climate change impacts. Regional integrated assessment was so comprehensive and well received, the stakeholders in Ghana and Senegal, among others, called for scaling up and building capacity to apply the methodology to more regions. Now, these research tools are being used to make farming and food systems more resilient to substantial shocks such as climate and COVID-19. Cynthia continues to push AgMIP to expand the scientific boundaries of agriculture planning, research, and action. Her methods of modeling and assessments are the gold standard for fighting climate change's effect on agriculture. Thanks to Cynthia's work and research, we are all more prepared to mitigate threats and fortify food systems against climate challenges. Her models have helped countless countries prepare for future climate problems and understand how the changing environment will affect crops and food security. We are proud to honor Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig as the 2022 World Food Prize Laureate.
Please welcome the 2022 World Food Prize Laureate from the United States, Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig. At this time, please welcome World Food Prize Board member Rachel Ruan-McLean, and chair of the World Food Prize Selection Committee and 2009 World Food Prize Laureate, Gabisa Ijeta, to the dais. The World Food Prize sculpture will now be presented to the 2022 laureate by Rachel Ruan-McLean and Gabisa Ijeta. Mr. Ijeta and Mrs. Ruan-McLean, we now invite you to return to your seats.
Good evening. I am thrilled and honored to receive the World Food Prize in 2022 and to become part of the World Food Prize family, because that's what it really is. It has been a joy to work with the World Food Prize Foundation president, Barbara Stinson, and her dedicated staff and the volunteers all year. This has enabled me to learn much more about the Foundation's many programs that create the living legacy of Norman Borlaug. I'm especially in awe of the tremendous outreach to thousands of young people who were so important to Dr. Borlaug, and many of whom are here tonight. I think you're sitting up there, right? The students, right? And their teachers. I met with the Global Guides this morning, and now the teachers are getting involved too. The World Food Prize this year is highlighting the global challenge of climate change. Food systems are emerging at the forefront of climate change action. We now know that climate change cannot be restrained without attention to the greenhouse gas emissions coming from food systems. But at the same time, food security for all cannot be provided without resilience to increasing climate extremes. As we move into this crucial decade of action of climate change, food needs to be at the table. The World Food Prize is doing a tremendous service in making sure that food is indeed prominent in global gatherings, such as the 27th Conference of the Parties next month in Egypt. I'm now going to share briefly the pantheon of people who have helped me in many different ways. First, thank you to the colleagues who developed the nomination. Dr. Gavin Schmidt, I think he may be here, who is the director of NASA Goddard Institute for Space Studies. He was my nominator. Shari Lifton, and she was in the video that you just saw. She is the corporate communications coordinator for Aura, creating now the graphics in part for the James Webb Telescope. She created the beautiful graphics in my nomination. Dr. Carolyn Mutter, the former AgMIP International Program Manager, and her intern at the time, Meryl Winikoff, now a climate change researcher at ICF outside of Washington, D.C., got the nomination ball rolling. Next, a very special thank you to Eric Menkos. I think Eric is here. Yay, Eric. Eric has contributed tirelessly to every talk, interview, and event since I learned that I received the prize. He helped me on a daily basis as the World Food Prize indeed changed my life. Eric is the program coordinator, is now the coordinator of AgMIP. I also want to give a special thank you to everyone in the Climate Impacts Group, our group at NASA Goddard Institute for Space Studies, because we survived and thrived over 2 years of the COVID pandemic together. Our group leader, our group co-leader and science coordinator of AgMIP, Alex Ruane. Alex, are you here? Yay. He's the physical scientist at NASA. He plays a huge part in all we do. Turning now to AgMIP. I salute the researchers all over the world, and you just saw many of them in the video. And AgMIP stands for, I'm only going to say it once, Agricultural Model Intercomparison and Improvement Project. I salute the members of this network for their tireless work, helping their own and other countries to achieve food security, both now and in the future, under changing climate conditions. I can't thank the more than 1,000 members of AgMIP by name, otherwise we'd be here all night. But I thank them all collectively and fervently. You create the collaborative AgMIP research needed to solve the challenges that climate change imposes on our world food system. I will do only 2 special AgMIP shout-outs, one of whom is here tonight. Dr. Molly John, where are you, Molly? Yay. While she was at USDA in 2010, she got AgMIP. We came into her office and we said, this is what we want to do, form the multi-model consortium and the network. She got it right away. And she jump-started the funding that got it going. So thank you, Molly. The second AgMIP shout-out is to Jack Kay, our program manager at NASA headquarters. Thank you, Jack. He couldn't be here tonight, but he's also a big part of AgMIP. Now, more broadly, I thank my career mentors. First, Dr. Daniel Hillel, the 2012 World Food Prize laureate, for showing me how to be a passionate scientist. I thank Dr. Joe Ritchie, formerly of Michigan State University. He is the father of crop modeling in the United States. The next is Dr. Jim Jones from the University of Florida. He was one of the co-founders and early co-leaders of AgMIP at the beginning. And finally, Dr. David Rind. He's a senior research scientist emeritus at NASA GISS. David basically taught me everything I need to know about climate change. He's a climate scientist. Finally, last but not least in my pantheon, I am deeply grateful to my family. I am truly here tonight because of their love and devotion. I honor my parents, Hardy and Kathy Ropes. You heard a little bit about my father. And I send love to my siblings, Alice, watching in Australia, George, and Martha, who is here tonight as well. Now, the best of the best, my husband, Arthur Rosenzweig, right there. Our children and their partners, Hannah and her partner David, Jacob and his partner Fatima. Hannah and Jacob are here this evening. And our grandchildren, Livia, Elliot, and Oscar. Livia is here tonight representing the next generation, not just of our family, but the children of the world. We need to do everything we can to ensure food security and a livable planet for them. Since the announcement was made at the State Department last April, a frequently asked question to me has been, what will you do with the award? So I want to end by sharing what the award is going to go for. I am very pleased to share with you this evening that the award will go to the Columbia Climate School. This is the first in the United States. It's like a medical school, but it's for climate. And it's Food for Humanity initiative. The award will establish the AgMIP World Food Prize Fund. And it will be used to convene AgMIP global workshops over the next 5 years that will bring scientists and decision makers together to jumpstart what I'm describing as a moonshot enterprise. That's what's needed, the energy, the radical collaboration, the new ways of doing things, the innovation to solve the challenges of climate change and food. At the AgMIP Global Workshops, we will co-design the tools that can move science into scaled-up action, simultaneously reducing greenhouse gas emissions and creating resilience in food systems in both developing and developing countries. I hope that you will all join us at the AgMIP World Food Prize Global Workshops. One last thought on the workshops. We're calling them workshops, not conferences. At AgMIP workshops, right, Alex, we roll up our sleeves and we get to work so that together we can co-create the moonshot science needed to ensure healthy food for all and a healthy planet. Thank you so much.
So, Cynthia, before we close tonight, we have one more special performance. Each year, we are eager to welcome our new laureate to the World Food Prize family. This year, not only did we have the honor of welcoming Cynthia, but we have much of her family here as well, including her children, granddaughter, sister, and her husband, Arthur. In fact, Cynthia and Arthur just celebrated their 50th anniversary on Tuesday. So I guess we have to say thank you for celebrating with us. Now, as many of you know, traditionally we have a finale. It's a fun surprise that we offer our laureate. Often we bring in artists from the laureate's community or country and offer some favorite genre of music. This year, we're kind of doing both. But for the first time, we are thrilled to welcome a family member of our laureate to the stage. Tonight, it is my distinct honor to welcome Cynthia's brother-in-law, Dylan Buston. Dylan is joined by Cynthia Pallett and Gray Larson. Now, not only is Dylan's acoustic music a favorite of Cynthia's, it is quite fitting for this occasion. As a folk artist, a songwriter, a filmmaker, and a playwright, Dylan is inspired by horticulturists and agronomists like Luther Burbank and Norman Borlaug. Without further ado, please welcome Dylan, Cindy, and Gray.
Oh, my friends, it's springtime again. Buds are swelling on every limb, the peepers do call, small birds do sing, and my thoughts return to gardening. Gardening is a very fine art. Bear well in mind before you start. Lay up your axe, your saw blade also, and take down your spade, your rake, and your hoe. Polish your hoe till the blade it does shine. Likewise your rake, and sharpen each tine. Dress up your spade with a light coat of oil. Then you are ready to prepare your soil. Prepare your soil with a good free will. Bear well in mind what you may till. Some compost and lime are all that you need. Then you are ready to plant your seed. Plant your seed, but none too soon. Bear well in mind the phase of the moon. Set out the fruits, the roots, and the grain, and hope it all sprouts in the cool early rain. If the cool early rain don't drown you out, the first hot spell will bring on a drought. The midsummer sun is hotter than hell. Mulch down your rows and you water them well. Water them well and thin them also. Beware of weeds and beetles and crows. If you do every day, then little is lost. Just hope it all ripens before the first frost. The first frost will come as sure as sin. Then you must hasten to gather it in by cartloads and bushels, by pecks and by quarts, your harvest of fruit and grain of all sorts of peaches and apples and wheat, oats and rye and strawberries sweet, squashes and melons with colorful rinds, your harvest of vegetable roots of all kinds of turnips and carrots and beets, potatoes, tomatoes, and strong-smelling leeks, cabbage and corn, the beans and the hay. Then you must carefully store it away in the cellars and lofts and bins. Make cider and kraut, pickles and gin. If you do it all well, you'll not go wrong. you will have plenty all winter long. And all winter long while the cold winds blow, take down your saw and a wood cutting go. If you're well fed and warm, be well content then, till warm weather comes and you say to your friends, oh my friends, it's springtime again. Buds are swelling on every limb, the peepers do call, the small birds do sing, and my thoughts return to gardening, gardening. This next song requires just a small amount of preparation. It's sung by a man who's driving a horse-drawn wagon down the road. And this man's name is Nahum Hazard, and the year is 1851, and the setting is in Massachusetts between Concord and Leominster. And in the back of his wagon, he has a load of potatoes. Hidden underneath those potatoes is a fugitive slave from Virginia. His name is Shadrach Minkins. And Nahum Hazard's job is to deliver him to the train station in Leominster, put him on the train for Montreal, Canada. And Shadrach Minkins successfully arrived in Montreal and spent the rest of his life there. This is from a play, a musical play, and the singer is the driver of the wagon. That's what you need to know. On a long road to the fields of plenty, I will reap as I have sowed in those fields. I will drive this wagon down the road before me. From the fields of plenty we will bring the harvest home. I will reap the rows of grain in the fields of plenty, stack the sheaves and shocks again in those fields. I will clear a threshing floor in the fields of plenty, winnow out the chaff once more in those fields, carry to the kitchen shed in the fields of plenty, who will help to bake my bread in those fields. I will drive this wagon down the road before me. From the fields of plenty we will bring the harvest home. I will grind the kernels fine in the fields of plenty, sacks of flour all in a line in those fields. And we must tend the fences well in the fields of plenty, listen for the dinner bell in those fields, for a cutting board and a butter knife in the fields of plenty, Freedom is the staff of life in those fields. I will drive this wagon down the road before me. From the fields of plenty we will bring the harvest home. I will drive this wagon down the road before me. From the fields of plenty we will bring the harvest home. Thank you. We'll conclude with a traditional American folk song, which is about red wine. Red wine with fruit, which you might call sangria, but this is a song from St. Simon's Island in the Georgia Sea Islands, and there they call it sangaree. Not sangria, but sangaree. If I live, sangaree, see next fall, sangaree, I ain't gonna tote, sangaree, no cotton at all. Build me a shanty, sangaree, in some river town, sangaree. I'll get a corn-fed woman, sangaree, and we'll settle down. Oh, babe, sangaree, won't you do what you do, sangaree, make that sangaree for me and you. If I live, sangaree, to see next spring, sangaree, I'm gonna stand out in the field, sangaree, and hear the rooster sing. Drinking in the pea patch, sangaree, she's a scratching out the peas, sangaree, and my dog is on the porch, sangaree, he's a scratching out fleas. Oh, babe, sangaree, won't you do what you do, sangaree, make a sangaree for me. I can do more farming, sangaree, with a mule and a plow, sangaree, a Shanghai rooster, sangaree, and a Jersey cow. My wife got a shovel, sangaree, and I got a hoe, sangaree, and if that ain't farming, sangaree, Lord, and I don't know. Oh, babe, sangaree, won't you do what you do, sangaree, make that sangaree for me and you. I said, oh, babe, sangaree, won't you do what you do, sangaree, make that sangaree for me and you.
Well, Dylan, Grace, Andy, Cindy, thank you so much for your performance and for your tremendous talents. You've truly made it a special night to remember. Let's have another round of applause, everyone.
Thank you.
To all of those of you here tonight, everyone joining us and watching, thank you for being with us. Good night, and we'll see you right outside.
Funding for the 2022 World Food Prize Laureate Award Ceremony has been provided by Friends, the Iowa PBS Foundation, and a grant from the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust.